president of this country. It's a great thing. He came from poverty. Just like Mzee Kenyatta also came from poverty. Jaramogi also came from poverty. So nobody can therefore talk about dynasty, talk about the family of Nyayo. What sort of dynasty? What did Moi inherit? Moi struggled and died the way he died. These children are also just struggling. They're Kenyans like anybody else. Just like Uhuru Kenyatta is also just a Kenyan. And Raila is also just a Kenyan. Well, why should somebody think that is more entitled to things in this country than Raila Odinga because he's son of Oginga Odinga? Or Gideon Moi because he's son of Moi? No, Gideon has a right like any other Kenyan to vie for any position that he wants in this country.
All right, so Raila made his point come across. Joy, do you feel that this... He had a point, because really at the end of the day, every Kenyan is entitled to go for any seat they like, and if they're popular enough. But of course, the question of the dynasty, that conversation is because of the financial, political advantage that they may have, given that they have been in the limelight. Take Uhuru Kenyatta, for example. We mentioned earlier that the only capital he had at the point Moi was mentioning his name was his father. But he hadn't done anything really, politically speaking. He may not even have been that popular in his area, but by that virtue, maybe that's where the conversation is.
If there was no credence to the, maybe dynasty is the wrong word, but let me use legacy. If there was no capital in a name, then many of the people who see in politics right now wouldn't be there. Mutula Kilonzo Jr. Mudavadi. Raila, Oburu, he's, as in, you must admit, I'm the child of a church minister. My father is a pastor. There are doors that open to me when I use Masinde, because people are like, oh, so you're bishop's daughter, and swap, the doors open. If I go there as Joy Mudivo, so Joy Mudivo, take a number and sit down. Yeah, but when I say I'm Joy Masinde, it opens doors. I have benefited from riding on my father's good name at times. And so I know you cannot discredit, because he was talking about their fathers. It is true their fathers may have come from nothing, but they built something that their children have leveraged on to take them even further. There's nothing wrong with that, because that's what we all do. You do better for yourself so that your children can have better than you. So it's not a wrong thing, but you cannot say that it's nothing. It is more than what others have. Like, for example, if you're looking at the first president, the reason why he was able to become our first president was he had a little bit of education. He had some credentials, because there are people who fought for Uhuru harder than Jomo Kenyatta did. But Jomo Kenyatta had the added advantage of a little bit of education. Same thing with President Moi. He had that little education. What we kept talking about, the home guards. That little education is what positioned them to be in a place to have that extra push that other people in Kabartonjo did not have. So the leveraging on a good name is not a bad thing. In this country, though, politically, we have come to a place where you hear about hustler nation versus dynasties. And that's something that, again, you have to put in context. Somebody like Ruto, when he talks about hustler nation, all he's saying is, I don't have a big name to ride on. I'm my own man.
I have made my own name.
And there is a distinction. So, but when I listened to Raila yesterday, I understood where he's coming from, because it's not that they've also not done anything. They have worked hard to go beyond where their fathers left them.
And maybe, Kioko, just to make it clear, because that can be used as a negative thing, politically speaking, there is nothing wrong with, for instance, Gideon Moi taking over from his father. And we saw that happening. We'll come to that. But what Raila was saying has truth in it. However, it can be twisted and used against them by virtue of the fact that, well, they have that advantage which other Kenyans may not have. So what chance does that Kenyan who can lead this country, who has the ability, who has the know-how, who has the wherewithal, but has no opportunity, has no advantage, has no finances to do that?
I think, first, let's agree, what is called bare truth. Anybody, irrespective of who your father is or where you come from, you have a right and an opportunity to be anything in this country.
That
cannot be disputed, whether you are the son of
But
Moi.
is that just something that we say and is on paper?
No,
What is
it must be said. No. It must be said, and it must be said and it must be repeated. There are some who will believe it and go and strive and succeed. There are some who will say this is just a mere rhetorics. There are some who will say this is nothing. But those who believe and will work hard and will find their way, they're good parts that will. So let us not even contest that statement. But the statement that needs to be contested is the hustler narrative, hustler dynasty narrative, what Raila was saying, which I think he was being very economical in the truth. Yes, Moi was a hustler. Yes, Jomo Kenyatta was a hustler. And yes, Ruto is a hustler. But Raila was never a hustler because he was born of privilege. Kenyatta was not a hustler because he was born of privilege. Gideon Moi was not a hustler. He was born of privilege. We must distinguish that. And the sons and daughters of Rutos will not be hustlers because they will be born of privilege. That must be distinguished. And you cannot stand on a podium and want to lie to us that Gideon is an ordinary mortal. He enjoyed the perks of his dad being a president.
But does that mean that he should be discriminated in a way?
No, we're not saying. Your first statement, my first statement was everybody has the right to be anything they want.
Okay.
But what we are disputing is the Raila narrative of saying that
the starting line is not the same.
The starting line is not the same. The starting line between Ruto and Gideon is not the same. Ruto worked for Gideon's dad. Ruto worked for Gideon's dad. Not Ruto. Who else? We can pick people who worked for Gideon's dad. Musalia worked for Gideon's dad. Kalonzo worked for Gideon's dad. Yeah? And Gideon could, by his own right, or the right of his association with his father, walk into offices that mere mortals sat, and he would get favors because of his dad's name. Now, that's the distinguishing factor here. So, if we want to fight the dynasty hustler thing, a better approach needs to be given. I think Raila wanted to pass a certain message, but in the end, the optics are not good. I can say that with a clear heart, the optics are not good. He ended up like wanting to lie to us as a country, that we do not understand the definition of who dynasties and who hustlers are. I think that
But practically speaking, and if we were to just lay all the cards on the table, is there a way of making that starting line level? Is there a way of leveling the playing field?
I don't think so.
Naturally,
and nobody wants it to be level.
It's natural selection. I don't think it's like the time when Ngena gave her speech and she was talking about how young people should work hard. What she was saying was actually correct. What young people need to make their own future. They need to forge ahead. The fact that she doesn't have to do it for herself is what created the backlash. People are saying, you'll never have to do Smoky Pasu and Maya Imboiro to make rent. So don't tell us how we should be entrepreneurial. You talk about what you know about. And I think that's what the pushback is. The fact that the starting line can never be the same is also not a bad thing. That's why you have natural selection. Survival for the fittest. So that those who work hardest are able to, because even those who are born into privilege, it will not last forever. There'll come a time where that capital will mean nothing.
Right.
But before it does, the ones who are able to ride the storm, let them ride the storm and get ahead. But if you don't know what to do with the political capital and you fall out, then again, that's your loss.
And of course, even if we look at those families that we're talking about, privilege, and I'd want us to also look at the handing over of that rungu to Gideon Moi. If we look at it, I was looking at it this morning, and interestingly, it's not always the oldest son who takes over that mantle. Look at Odinga. Yes. Oburu is older than Raila, but he is not the one who's taken the mantle. Look at Gideon. Raymond is older than Gideon, but even Gideon himself is the one who said, politically speaking, I'm handing this over to you. So let's just look at that before we look at possibly what that may mean and what that means for this country, politically speaking, in the future.
And so forth. Mimi ndio kweli the leader of this family now. Lakini kwa kisiasa wacha mimi naamsha Gideon. Gideon kuja. Kwa kisiasa itakuwa huyu, sibo? So mimi tu ni kusema hivi, kwa vile mzee alituchunga sisi, kwa vile mzee alichunga Kenya hii, kwa vile mzee alichunga sisi wote. Pia sisi tunamwambia huyu, tunamwambia yeye KANU ya mke. Ama namna gani Warongai? Siko hivyo. KANU ya mke, si unaona watu wamevaa kofia ya jekundu. Tunataka KANU ya mke. Tunajua tuko na BBI and we want to be part of that. Tunakubali BBI kabisa. Kama vile Mheshimiwa Odinga amesema, we are behind you and we are behind the president in trying to create a better Kenya for all of us. So sisi wa KANU tunijitayarisha ili when that is birthed, we will also want to be part of that team. So kwa hiyo maneno ya kisiasa, mimi nimesema nimempea huyu hiyo rungu, lakini si ile ya mzee kawaida, lakini ndio hiyo. Na yeye akiregarega ama si mimi niko hapa, si mimi niko, kwani hata mimi sistaki, mimi niko, basi lazima yeye afanye kazi. Sasa kwa haya machache, asanteni sana. Najua mmechoka, vumilia tu dakika kidogo.
Honestly, I was not expecting this. Kwa familia ya Moi Kap Chepkeres, jamii wangu wa Kap Chepkeres, na jomba zangu Kap Bomet, hata kushika hii rungu it's anyway, nitashika and I'll do my best na nitajaribu nikiweka Mwenyezi Mungu mbele.
All right, Kioko, nitajaribu. Do you think atajaribu kuwa daktari wa siasa?
Atajaribu. Let tell you.
Kijana wa profesa atakuwa daktari.
I think they say that there are people who are born of greatness. There are people who greatness is thrust onto them. And there are people who work hard to be even close to greatness. Now you choose which sphere you are born in and what you do with what greatness affords you. He has an opportunity that none of us, mere mortals, if I can use that word, none of us who are born in such families have. It is what he does with it that will make a difference. Ruto had one opportunity. And we have to go back to Ruto really when we look at the Rift Valley politics, to be the treasurer of Youth for KANU in 1992, to work to be the MP of Eldoret North, to work very hard into when Uhuru lost, to be the leader and to carry the aspirations of the Rift Valley nation, to work very hard as a Minister of Agriculture, to accumulate in whichever manner that he did, yeah? To work very hard to campaign for Uhuru to be president and him to be deputy president, and to be where they are today. You can see, it's working hard. Gideon must believe that he has to work hard. What Atwoli told him, it is not easy. It is not easy. Politics is as fluid and has no permanent enemies or permanent friends. You need to work hard, create presence, and invest in relationships way harder. What his dad was doing seamlessly. Somehow, when you look at Gideon Moi, he appears strange in engaging it. I think he might not be the leader of today, but I can tell you,
watch this space.
The succession leadership plan in Rift Valley is so defined. Because assume Ruto becomes president in 2022. In 10 years, in 2032, he'll have exited the plan. The Rift Valley people will have an alternative leader to take them forward. So whichever way you look at it, the community is balancing itself that, okay, I mean, let Ruto try, but even if he doesn't, there's a credible alternative.
Absolutely.
A challenge that we are currently witnessing in Central Province, that they were pushed, they had Kibaki, there was comfort of Kibaki, there was comfort of Matiba, there was comfort of Kibaki, then Uhuru appeared out of nowhere and reshuffled the pecking order. Now Uhuru is exiting. and everybody is panicking.
Wondering what next. And that seems to be an area, Joy, that we struggle in our politics to have clear, defined people that can take over. If you look at, for instance, somebody even like Raila, it would be difficult to identify somebody who is grooming, intentionally grooming to take over from him. Because the truth of the matter is, as much as I think maybe it's our African culture that affects us, we operate as though we'll never, exit.
Expire.
Yeah, it's like we'll never expire. But wisdom should advise us that at some point groom somebody, because whether we like it or we don't. I mean, look at Moi. It's somebody at some point you'd never have imagined Moi lying in state, because that's the kind of power that he wielded. But God, in his own way of doing things, has made it clear that at some point every man must die. So anyway, looking at legacy and grooming, this becomes a very clear way of handing over this responsibility, politically speaking, to Gideon. What impact do you see this having?
You remember the question you asked earlier about how do we get everybody on the same starting line? This is why you can never get everybody on the same starting line. Because if there's always somebody warming up on the side tracks when you're running around, then it means if a guy is sitting in the bleachers thinking, I also can run, by the time he's coming and saying, I'm willing to do this, it's like, no, there's already somebody waiting in line. I wish as a country we would get to a place where we would divest ourselves of this, we need a kingpin to move forward. Because I think that's part of the reason why we're in the mess we're in. Because once an area has identified a kingpin, everybody from that area feels sort of beholden to ensure that the kingpin remains at the king. We need to come to a place where people are happy to take a leader because of what the leader offers to bring you. So like, look at what happened in the States when Obama became president. It was almost like a black man of African descent, no less, being able to maneuver to get to the White House. It was almost unbelievable. But what was even more unbelievable was when Donald Trump took over, because he was such an outsider. He had never served in public office anywhere. He had never offered himself for... His track record was one that was less than stellar.
Even his mannerisms were not one you'd expect a president.
Was not very presidential.
Yeah.
But people decided to choose him. I don't really envy where they are right now, but I wish we'd get to that place where anybody